like,
All right. Welcome. Big Kev's here with the great Dukebothers. Dukebothers, welcome inside the squared circle. This is you get a chance to be one on one in the squared circle with me. You know, we know each other pretty well with that.
we do, and it's a very intimidating place to be. Not gonna lie, in the squared circle with one of the greats, I'm humbled.
Well, first off, Duke, let's go with the first question. And and I know you like spontaneous, and and I actually want to thank you for coming on here because I know your greatness and everything. And um, when did you always grew up as a Cowboys fan, or have you always been a Cowboys fan, or what made you start liking the Cowboys of all teams?
It's to put it short, I have always been a fan. My earliest memories, I mean earliest memories, were watching the Cowboys play with my dad. Back in elementary school, even. And I've seen the Super Bowl. Uh, I'm a Cowboys fan.
So your fondest memory started when you were in there with your dad with the Cowboys. Who is your like? If you had like two, maybe three Cowboy players of all time, like who's your favorite Cowboy players of all time?
I'll go 3, 2, 1 in great Duke Bothers order, and I've actually haven't thought that much about a top three, but um, I would say number three, and this is a new one, but he's quickly climbing up the rankings. CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb. I'm from Oklahoma. He's a Sooner. I used to go watch. I saw him play in. And fell down the draft board, became a Cowboy, and I've been in love ever since. I love some CeeDee Lamb. Second, and most Cowboys fans are going to put this guy on their list because, he's greatness. So when it comes to being a football player, Emmitt Smith, the number on the jersey, man. Emmitt, the NFL's all-time rusher as far as yards are concerned, just with broken ribs, playing and winning games that mattered, important games, always showed desire and a willingness to win. Emmitt was just the man. I saw Emmitt play in Dallas several times and just was awestruck. I even saw him play in a different uniform. I saw him play as a Cardinal in Dallas. And I watched Greg Ellis pop him on the first play, and the whole crowd went nuts. And my favorite Cowboy of all time, and this is somebody that if you ask 1,000 Dallas Cowboys fans who their favorite player of all time is, only one person would mention this guy out of the 1,000, and it's me. I'm that one guy. My favorite Cowboy of all time was an undersized linebacker out of Appalachian State who became a Pro Bowler for the Cowboys, picked off guys like Dan Marino. One of the best underrated linebackers the Cowboys have ever seen. His name was Dexter Coakley. Dexter Coakley is easily my favorite Cowboy of all time. It's not just because of the story, like being a small guy coming out of a small college and making it big into the league, but my favorite memories of being a Cowboys fan involve Dexter Coakley. Like the games I went to, the games I watched, he was always making plays. Like he was always a stud. So, yeah, Dexter Coakley is my favorite Cowboy of all time.
Believe it or not, I actually remember Dexter Coakley, and I was surprised and shocked by that answer. I was gonna, when I was gonna ask you that question, I was thinking, okay, he's gonna say maybe Emmitt Smith or Troy Aikman or Michael Irvin or Roger Staubach, but I was surprised on that one.
It's hard to have like a top three when there's so many guys. Like, if I had an honorable mention list, it'd be a mile long, and all those guys would be on it. Aikman's from Henrietta, Oklahoma, and he was a Sooner. People don't remember Troy Aikman was a Sooner before he transferred to UCLA. And Roy Williams is another one that's. I loved Roy Williams, man. Just a safety that could hit people that we haven't seen since from OU. I mean, and Larry Allen. Larry Allen could probably bench press my house. He was a monster. I mean, there's so many guys. It's so hard to get a top three, but those are three. If I had to say today who my top three were, those are the guys I pick.
Yeah, here's sticking in with the sports questions here. What is one sport that you just cannot stand? You just don't have no.
Well, there's not many because I'm. When I was in high school, I was a triple letterman. I played baseball, I played basketball, I played soccer, I ran track, I played intramural football, I played putt golf. I mean, I'm a sports fanatic. But mostly playing it on a lot of those. Like, I wouldn't sit and watch a round of golf. I know a lot of people love watching golf. There's a lot of great golfers. I couldn't watch it, but I can sure play it. But I hate saying it, but if I had to choose one sport that I just do not get into at all, I don't consider NASCAR a sport, so I'll skip that, and I'll say hockey. I mean, I don't get into it. I don't know why. I can't watch it on TV. I like it in person, but I'm not invested in any hockey teams. Like, I'm not going to put a hockey jersey on because I'm so small I wouldn't be able to fit one anyway, but I couldn't wear a hockey jersey and go to a hockey game and enjoy it and like invest myself into a hockey team. I just couldn't do it. So yeah, hockey would be my answer on that one.
Well, you said you were a triple letterman. What positions in baseball and football did you play?
I was a right fielder in baseball. I played right field for 8 years actually, and football I was a safety receiver hybrid. I was fast. I was fast. I ran a 4.8 40, which was pretty good for back then. And so I just burned people. That's what I love doing. And I had pretty decent hands too. Like, I wasn't going to moss you. I wasn't going to jump over your head. But if you turned your back for a split second, I was gone. So that was kind of what I did. I loved it. It was fun. I was just too small. I was way too undersized. I weighed like 115 pounds soaking wet.
Wow.
So, like, when I got hit, I stayed down for a little while.
Well, I wish I could have had you on my high school football team because, when I played quarterback, I mean, I needed a fast receiver. I wish I would have been able to clone another you at that point. I was also an outfielder in baseball as well. So that's why I was kind of curious, like, outfielder. And people don't realize, like, how hard it is to play the outfield. Some people think it's hard to play the infield. It's hard to play the outfield. It is like ridiculously a lot of stamina and it's a lot of stamina playing the outfield.
And you really have to have the backs of the other outfielders too. Like, if you're playing center field and you don't have confidence that your right field or left fielder can feel the ball, like, you're everywhere. You're all over that field. That's why, my coaches always said, hey, run track. Hey, play soccer, because you're going to get that endurance and you're going to be running constantly. And I'm glad they taught me that, because you're right, man. Any position in the outfield is really a lot more challenging than it gets credit for.
And I would tell anybody this: if baseball, when I first played baseball, and I'm pretty sure Duke had the same part with it. When you look at baseball, you think it's not that physical, but once you go to camp and once you go to practice, it's a totally different ball game.
Oh, big time. Yeah, and then you're going to get into collisions like at the plate or chasing down a ball. If you're all looking up in the air, not seeing each other, and nobody's calling it, you see a lot of brutal collisions. People get hurt. Or as an outfielder, if you're like me and you have about a 2-foot vertical, Well, when you try to scale a wall as you're chasing a fly ball, or if the wall is there and you don't know where you're at, ouch. I mean, there's a reason why the warning tracks are there. If you're an outfielder, you need a warning track, trust me.
Now, I know that you also were a basketball fan. I know you like the Oklahoma City Thunder and you like Seattle Supersonics. Um, but you were also a Bulls fan, correct?
Oh, I grew up. Well, I was a Bulls fan because I was a Michael fan. Like I was that guy. I had Michael everything. I had a one of those life size Michael Jordan cardboard cutouts like you saw in the Home Alone movies. Like I had one of those in my window. I was Michael Jordan everything. So yeah, I knew the Bulls rosters. I knew what schools they all went to. I knew what Michael Jordan had for dinner the week before he played. Like I was huge into the Bulls and Michael Jordan.
Now, I'm going to ask you this question about Michael, and I'm going to put this to rest. I want your opinion on this because I know you're a great-minded guy. Um, do you think it's fair that the sports media kind of compares him and LeBron together?
I think it's fair in the sense that they're using the greatest player in today's game to kind of garnish that story. You know, if they were to go 2 or 3 steps down, I don't think you could even fairly draw that comparison. So it's fair from the standpoint that they're just trying to make a story to get ratings, and so they pick LeBron to do it. But when it comes to the comparison itself, there's not one to be made. I mean, Michael was it, the reason why LeBron is hyped is because of the recency bias. People love seeing LeBron and what he's doing still and what he's done over the past 10 years, which is incredible. I don't want to downplay anything that LeBron has done throughout his career. But if you were to put Michael in his prime in today's world, in today's league, Michael was a physical freak of nature. Even today, he would be a freak. Michael, watching him play back then was like watching one of the greatest sports movies you've ever seen. Only it's actually happening in front of you. Like I can't even describe Michael. He transcended the game of basketball and an entire generation of sports fans. And the man could fly. I don't know of anybody that could fly like Michael could. I mean, it's just if Michael played LeBron one-on-one, Michael would destroy him. So no, I don't think that there's a comparison to be made at all. I'm definitely Team Michael, but you know, again, LeBron's a great player. He's just there will never be another Michael Jordan.
You know, being a Bulls fan too, being a Michael fan, which I was as well. I mean, I had all the back then when I was a kid, I had all the sneakers and all this, and you know, I would think that hey, you know, if I wear the Jordan shoes, it will help my basketball game, which it didn't. But still, I'm just curious though with the Michael Jordan situation. If you think if we go back to the '93 when he retired for the Bulls and then went to go play for the baseball, if he would have stayed, how many championships do you think the Bulls would have won?
That's a pretty deep question. I would say at least 7. You know, they three-peated and then he left and then he came back and they three-peated again. So you fill in the 1 year gap. You know, they win that one in my opinion. So I would say 7. At that point, after you know what happened with Krause, everything like that, I still think that it would have ended up unraveling the way that it did. But I do think they would have gotten 7. They were just hands down, man, the best team in the league. And it wasn't just about Michael. As much as I love saying that, they had 3 first team All-American defenders on that team. Mm-hmm. I mean, people forget Dennis Rodman was the greatest rebounder of that era and one of the greatest rebounders of all time. There's an argument to be made that he's the greatest of all time. Then you've got Scotty. Scotty was another first team All-American defender. He was phenomenal on defense, and so was Michael. Michael was a two-way player, and you never saw him on one end of the court waiting while the rest of his team is on the other end, like you see LeBron do sometimes. I mean, their defense, you could not score on them. And in today's world, in today's league, with all the threes people are shooting, that defense would have been so physical and so dominant today that they would have won at least 7 or 8 in today's generation. So back then, yeah, I would put the number at 7, but they were just dominant. I mean, that's all I can say.
Going back to being a football fan, what do you think is missing in today's NFL game that you wish, like from the past, would be welcome back in the league now?
Oh, there's a couple of things, man. This league today is not the same league that we saw in the past. The easy answers would probably be the celebrations. Like, uh, we still have them, but CeeDee Lamb got fined $10,000 for just waving goodbye to a Patriots player who shoved him, by the way, before the wave. That didn't get.
Yeah.
And he gets fined 10 grand for that. They're throwing flags for excessive celebration for just the stupidest things. So I would say that's one. I love celebrating, but the physicality, man, like just letting players tear into each other. I know the argument, about the concussion protocol and the players' lives, everything like that, which is I get that, but as an NFL player, as really a player of any sport, you have to know what you're signing up for. And if you're signing up to be a linebacker in the National Football League, you're going to hit people, and you are going to get hit. And if you sign up to be a quarterback, you're not signing up to be on the cover of Madden. You're not signing up for, Panini to go make rookie cards with your threads on them. You're signing up to take snaps and either hand them off to the running back or step back in the pocket and hope to God that someone doesn't take your head off. That's what you're signing up for. So, we're getting so many calls now for roughing the passer and unsportsmanlike conduct, and even targeting calls are getting to where it's like, hey, what are you supposed to do? You lower the shoulder into a guy and they flag you for targeting. Well, I get if it was your intent, but as a defensive player, I've seen so many defenders where normally they would just go at a guy and just knock his block off. Now there's a bit of hesitation there. And not only does it affect the play, but it affects the mentality of the defense when you don't even know how to tackle a guy because you don't want to get flagged for 15 more yards. So instead of just letting off on him, you hold back and let up. I think that's changing the game a little bit. So those two things, really, in my opinion, are the biggest. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick the physicality. It's not quite what it was.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I played quarterback position for a lot of years, junior high, high school, pee wee. In high school, I ended up getting 2 concussions, and I will tell you, I mean, I knew what I signed up for, and that's what needs to happen in this game. I mean, like I know about the protocols and stuff, but in protection of players and everything. But I'm with you on that. I think that the protection, you can only protect quarterbacks so far. And there's some quarterbacks by their name who gets away with stuff. And that's another thing in this league too. What I also have to ask you too is this one's going to be a tricky one because I know that you are in the TTC too and all that. What do you think are the most hateful NFL fans? Like which team?
That one's easy. That's easy peasy. And let me, before I answer, let me add on to the last comment about the physicality by saying that I understand from the league standpoint that they want to protect a guy that a team is investing $400 million in. I mean, I get that they want to protect him, but at the same time, don't pay a quarterback $400 million if if he doesn't have a potential of being alive on every play. And in the NFL, you don't. So I think that our quarterbacks are getting a little bit overpaid now. I think the tight ends actually have a good argument that they're just coming out with here recently that they need more money because they're the ones that are getting physical. They're blocking like linemen. They're catching passes like receivers. I think, if anything, they need more money than the quarterbacks do, but that's just my opinion. But to answer your question about the fans, as a Cowboys fan, I know from experience that Eagles fans are easily the worst. I mean, if you have a jail inside your stadium, something's wrong. And if you win a Super Bowl and proceed then to, instead of have a parade, you burn down your entire city, you have a problem. And Eagles fans, I like some of you. Some of you are really cool. Some of you are friendly. You're docile. You're nice. Your fan base is one giant piece of trash. The entire Eagles fan base is hostile to the point of what some people would call extremism. They are angry all of the time. They won the Super Bowl, and then week 1 of the following season, the very first game, they were booing their entire team after the second quarter. They were angry again. Didn't take them long because they're Philly. That's what they do. To tell you a personal story, a firsthand story, I went to a game when I was probably, I don't know, 14, 15 in Irving, back in the old stadium, and we were playing the Eagles. And I watched an Eagles fan whose team was losing by, I don't know, 14 points, 15, 17 points, something like that. He got so mad that he punched an old guy in the face that was next to him and ripped off the old guy's Cowboys jersey and threw it over the balcony. Like the bloody Cowboys jersey was flying over the balcony. And yeah, that guy got arrested. He had to exit the stadium. And I'm thinking, wow, are all Eagles fans like this? And message to me, 15 years ago, yeah, they are. That's how they are. That's when I learned. So yeah, Eagles fans are the worst.
Now, dealing with my side on the Titans, I would have to say the Steelers fans. I've met a lot of Steelers and Raider fans who are completely rude, obnoxious. But when you were talking about the Eagles fans there, my wife was looking at me because she's from South Jersey and they're Phillies fans, and and she was kind of looking at me there for a minute, going, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy," and I was just like looking at her. I was like, "Hey, look, she's a nice Eagles fan. She's not like most of the Eagles fans, but my experience." And I understand what you're talking about, because there was one time we went to Jersey. We were flying back from Philly, and the Cowboys were playing the Eagles. And I just saw what Eagles fans were doing to Cowboys fans walking across the city. It was, it was pretty brutal.
It's bad. They love to egg our bus every year, that's just become tradition, I guess, egging the Cowboys bus. I remember when their bus used to come to our stadium, we would all just kind of stand there and watch. Like, okay, here they come. Who cares? Let's go check out Michael Irvin's Mercedes he's driving up right now. Like, we didn't care about but they loved egging our bus, and they loved throwing snowballs at Santa Claus. But, there are, like I said, there are a couple of good Eagles fans out there. I mean, a couple. They're hard to find, but they're out there.
Now, what are some of your favorite sports movies?
Ooh. Now we're getting into it. I've got some good ones. When I was a kid, man, my favorite, and obviously my favorite, was Space Jam because of Michael. I mean, maybe my favorite sports movie scene ever was the opening scene of Space Jam, where he's outside as a kid shooting hoops, and his dad comes out and says, "What are you doing out, man? It's late." And Michael starts telling him his dreams, like, "I'm going to be in the NBA one day." And Michael's dad just looks at him and he's like, yeah, you're probably going to fly too, huh? And then Michael, instead of laughing, he just turns around and looks at the goal, and next thing you know, it's showing real Michael, like, actually flying and dunking a basketball. Like, when you think about the relationship that Michael had with his father and what happened and why it happened, that is a very, very powerful scene that a lot of people don't really give it enough credit for what that scene really did. But I loved it. I love the Sandlot. The fireworks scene in Sandlot was probably another one of my top 3 favorites. And for football, Friday Night Lights, man, that was a great movie.
Friday Night Lights was definitely a good movie, and I love the Sandlot, especially that scene in particular you were talking about. But I also like the scene where the boys finally beat that one team, and they decided to go chew tobacco, and they're throwing up everywhere. And that was
Big Chief.
Yeah, I mean that was just a great scene. Now, as far as like football movies, I know Friday Night Lights was another one, but what did you think of like replacements, any given Sunday, and like unnecessary roughness? A few of those.
I actually had the replacements DVD, and I hadn't seen it in years. And I took my wife. Where did we go? We went somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but we were eating at the bar, and the replacements was on. And so we just watched it. We're like, okay, we can watch this. And I forgot how hilarious that movie was. Like, I was rolling at a couple of those scenes. That was a great movie. Longest Yard was
Mm-hmm.
the newest longest, because there's two of them. The newest one I loved. Um, that one kind of had me going a little bit too. Football, there are a lot of great football movies. Rudy is a good football movie if you like that one.
Yeah.
Radio is a good one. There's a ton of them. What was the one? Any Given Sunday. Any Given Sunday was filmed in Irving in the old Cowboys Stadium, and that was a fantastic movie. I mean, there's just so many good ones.
Well, I'll tell the ladies, ladies, if you ever never seen Any Given Sunday, I'm just going to warn you. There's a snake scene. I'm not going to say specifically what it is, but let's just say when Cameron Diaz has walked by some of the players, you're going to see something.
Yeah, facts. And can you blame him? I mean, Cameron Diaz then, oh my gosh, dude. Woo! Yeah, I understand. I kind of wish they would have cast me for that movie, but I wasn't old enough back then. So.
Well, let me ask you something, Duke. If they ever did replacement players in the NFL, would you sign up to play for the Cowboys?
They wouldn't need me, but I've said before, even before EDP made it cool, I used to say, because I used to get so mad, I'd say, man, I've got a Cowboys helmet, I got some jerseys, just put me in. Like, I don't care. If you need a quarterback, I may not be very big, and I may not be very strong, but I'm slow, and I've got the biggest heart on the team. Like, I just want to win. So I'll do everything I can. I'll give everything to, help the Cowboys win a game because they desperately need it. Put me in. Let me throw a pass. Let me take a handoff. Let me go out for, a touchdown or something. I mean, some of those plays, if I'm being honest, some of those plays in the NFL, the players make them look easy. Like the plays where the receiver or I'll say a tight end, lines up on the line, and then when the ball is snapped, he acts like he's going to block, and then he goes out and takes 3 steps and catches a pass. He's wide open, and he runs it into the end zone. They make that look so easy that you can watch those plays and say, man, I can do that. Let me play. Or if I've got Larry Allen and Nate Newton and Mark Stepnoski on my offensive line, let me take a handoff and run behind those guys. I can get 15 yards. They make it look so easy, but in reality, I'd get killed. I mean, they would murder me. So, yeah, it's a good sentiment. Like, I can sit here all day and say, yeah, I'd love to do it, but if you actually gave me a football and walked me out into Jerry World and said, here, go out for a pass, or here, throw a pass, or take a handoff, I mean, no. No, I don't want to die. I've got kids, and I got a family. Or, playing defense, put me out at linebacker and say, there, go hit Derrick Henry at full speed. Good luck. No, I'm good. Take your 6, bro. I'm good.
Yeah, I told Mel that I played quarterback and linebacker in high school, and I told her, I said, look, a man of Derrick Henry's stature, if I saw him coming at that 21 miles an hour that they docked him at, I'd be like, just go ahead and pass me. I'm not even going to tackle you.
You got to make one of those career decisions at that point.
Now, I know that you are a big, a lot of people don't know this about you, but you are a big comic guy. And I know that you're a big Ninja Turtle fan. So let me ask you, out of all the Turtle movies, are you more of the original Turtle guy, or do you like some of the newer Turtle movies?
I don't. Well, most of the Turtle fan base would tell you that the new movies are trash. Most of the non-Turtle fan base will tell you that the new movies are trash. The Michael Bay Turtle movies are garbage, but I liked them. I'm not gonna lie. I liked what they did. I saw the nuances. I saw the references. Um, I I liked the fact that they changed the plots from the Michael Bay movies because originally they had set up to where the turtles were going to be aliens from outer space, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And they changed that right before production because us fans were pissed off about it. So kudos to them for doing that. But if I had to choose, man, I've got to go old school. I mean, I grew up loving the classic cartoons. I've talked to rather extensively talked to every voice actor in there except for um, the voice actor for Shredder, James Avery. Um, but the rest of them I've talked to quite a bit, and they loved what they did, and still today they contribute quite a bit to the community. And the older movies, dude, I mean, the second movie, Secret of the Ooze, Super Shredder, Kevin Nash. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that.
Well, I know that you met Kevin Nash. What did he ever talk about his experience with the Turtles?
He did a little bit. He said it was more than what he had thought it was going to be. Like when he signed up for it, he didn't know how much work was actually involved, but at the end of it, he was thrilled that he did it. And yeah, he was really cool. But most people, I would say 95% of people who know who Kevin Nash is don't know about that connection. They don't know that he was Super Shredder. So I love kind of throwing that in there and saying, yeah, man, that was him. Like I watched the movie with my son, who's 2 now, and I'll say, hey, look, there's Daddy's friend. There's Kevin Nash. It's great. And then the original movie. The original movie was a cult classic. I mean, you can put that up there with a few of the other movies. You know, I mean, it was such a phenomenal movie for its time. That movie poster, the original movie poster, was worth more than any other movie poster out there during that time. I mean, it was, and a lot of people, I think, when they watch that movie, they don't give enough credit to the actors that played the turtles. Like the suits that those guys wore when they did those stunts. Take the temperature outside and add about 25 to 30 degrees with no breathing, no air, no wind. And that's what those guys did, plus about another 40 pounds worth of suit. And they were doing backflips and handsprings and jump kicks. And I mean, it was incredible what those guys were able to do. Of course, now we have CGI. We've got computer graphics. We can just make it look cool. But back then, man, they put the whole suit on and they just went out there and did it. You know, and Ernie Reyes Jr. was a phenomenal actor too. I mean, the old movies were just irreplaceable. They're easily my favorite, and it's a tradition of mine. Once a year, we'll go grab the pizza and we'll watch the first and second and third movies. We love it.
Now, your favorite turtle is Michelangelo, correct?
Yeah, he was the first turtle. He's the best turtle, and he's the one that I relate to the most on a personality level. You know.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I told Mel that when we first saw the Turtles movie, I said Raphael's more of my personality a little bit. I kind of get that way a little bit at times, but I mean, yeah, I mean, the suits were amazing. The movie was a cult classic, and you know, and if you go on Duke's channel, which I will put it in the description later, um, there's a video of Michelangelo meeting the Super Shredder.
There is, and Michelangelo was initially challenging Kevin Nash to a duel, but it's been a little while since Nash was in the NWO, so he was a little bit slow to get up. No, we didn't, there wasn't any kind of melee action or anything like that, but just a nice fist bump at the end, just to say, hey man, I see you. Don't ever dress up like Super Shredder again, or I'll kick your butt. You know what I mean? But that video now has over 120,000 views on TikTok, so that's a pretty good video.
Yeah, you know what? I have to message you later because I need to get TikTok from you because I just recently got TikTok, and also, here's something. Now we're talking about Kevin Nash. We go right into this. When did you become a wrestling fan? Like, how did you become a actual pro wrestling fan?
let's see if I can short story. I've got so many long stories, man. My life has been just one crazy, and I need to write a memoir before I die, man. So my family owned an exotic animal theme park in Oklahoma, Wynnewood, right next to Tiger King. We were about 15 minutes away from Tiger King, and we owned an exotic animal theme park. We did business with him too, by the way. And so I was growing up, and we had a big building that had a gift shop, a snack bar, and an arcade. You had to go up a staircase. There was a big arcade, and it was old school. You walk up there, put your quarters in, play however long you want. So some days I would go over there, and I'd be like, "Hey, Pop, give me a roll of quarters." And he'd give me a roll of quarters. He'd say, "Here you go. Why don't you go up to the arcade, spend an hour or two, go watch Jurassic Park, whatever you want to do, and when you're done, just come back downstairs and we'll go home." I was like, "All right, cool." So I'd go up there with my roll of quarters, and the first machine I would play was an old WWF game that had Hulk Hogan, and I would always play as Hulk Hogan because he was the icon back then, and I never could get past Animal. I kept trying to beat him, and I couldn't beat him. Road Warriors always got me, but I used to play against Earthquake and just all the classics, man. And playing that video game and watching some of the stuff that they did, I was like, I want to see these guys for real. Like these aren't superheroes like Batman where you can watch movies. These are real people. Like Hulk Hogan is a real person who actually does leg drops on people. I want to watch him do one, man. That sounds like fun. So I started watching a little bit, and I just got into it. Like I loved it. I bought into everything. It was a lot more real to me. I guess that's the way it is for all kids watching wrestling, but for me it was so much more real. It was like they took it as a real story. Like, I bought into it 100%. So I, watched the whole Attitude Era, loved it. I mean, Sting was my guy. Sting is still my guy. And then Undertaker for the past how many years has it been now? Gosh. I mean, there's always been that one guy that I've followed through the whole thing, but I've always loved the narrative of pro wrestling. And I actually have a buddy that owns a company here. It's right outside of Ardmore, Oklahoma. He's doing shows in Wichita, Kansas, the Oklahoma region, the Dallas, Texas region. And he has guys that are in AEW now that he's trained. In fact, one of them trained me. And Fuego del Sol, if you know who that is in AEW, he's one of the guys that trained me. And
right.
We did all kinds of shows. I got to go in there, be VIP with them, help them out on a couple of things, and I've had the chance to meet some of the greatest pro wrestlers of all time through him, and it's been a great experience. But I just more and more continue to keep falling in love with professional wrestling. Today is a renaissance, and I love watching it. It's great.
Now, when you a lot of people don't know this. I've been in the ring before. I've trained. I remember you were asking me when we were talking on Facebook, when you were telling me you were about to train and stuff like that. How was your experience in the ring?
It was hard. It was tough. It was grueling. It was something that I didn't know that my 30-plus-year-old body was ready for. I'm still a little bit sore from it. We would start out, man, it would be 115 degrees in the middle of the summer, and we'd have to set up the whole ring out back in the backyard. So, we would set the ring up, and if you ever set a wrestling ring up, you'll understand, man, that was work. Like, by the time the ring was up, we were already dead. Like, it was crazy. And then once you got in there, I didn't have a lot of confidence in my abilities. Like, I didn't think that I could do even just the basic bumps. I didn't know if I could do them or not, and I didn't have confidence at first in anything, like, doing flips, jumping off ropes, and all those things. I was like, I've seen guys like Fuego do those tornado DDTs. Like, there's no way in the world I can do that. Right. But as they continued to teach me step by step, one foot before the other, how to do them, I caught myself doing some of those things, and I was like, wow, I can actually do this. I ended up having a lot of fun with it. It was great. And, like I said, a lot of those guys that trained
we ended up disbanding because some went to AEW, some went to other promotions. There's another girl that she was in Booker T's training class, and she was down in Dallas working on some big shows out there. So we ended up disbanding the training because they all just had so many shows to do. So we're still very much together, but and COVID too. COVID really took a hit as far as what we could do training wise. But the time that I had, it was an absolute blast.
Well, I tell anybody when I stepped in the ring the first time, the one thing that you would think hurts the most is the bumps, but for me, it was hitting the ropes. The ropes were like hard. You think they're bouncy and nice, but they're hard as a rock. And I got a lot of welts back then to prove it. But here's the thing. Go ahead, Duke.
The other thing that really hurt for me, the ropes were definitely one of them. Keith Lee, his best friend was another guy that trained me, and he's not as big as Keith Lee, but he's pretty good size, and he did one of those. I'm going to throw you in the corner, and then I'm going to do a splash right on your face. And that was like my first week of training. And he threw me into the rope. And when he threw me into the turnbuckle, I wasn't hurt. Like, I wasn't in pain, but I was in shock. Like, this guy's got power. Like, I did literally bounce off the turnbuckle, not because I wanted to, but because he literally threw me off of it. And then he turns around and full force just runs at me and splash. And when he got done, he looked down at me and he's like, you see this guy? You see this guy right here? He looks like he's terrified. Look at how he's selling this. Look at how scared he looks. That's what I want you to do. I want you to act just like he's acting and act like you're terrified. Don't take a splash and not have a look on your face. You act scared. And then he looked down at me and he said, good job. And I looked up at him and said, I wasn't acting, sir.
Man, terrified me.
So having the comment section, I know the Prodigal Hill, and he's a Cowboys fan too, but he said that Duke was always the best on the mic in your E-Fed. And a lot of people don't know that, some people on here don't know that I ran an E-Fed, TTC Wrestling, and FWE. When you came onto the scene, you were in it at 110% speed. Like when I had I know Ogden and everybody else was on there, but it was like this, you had this charisma about you that came into the play for, and then you came up with the Dukecutter, which my character has taken a few of them. I still feel the effects from the Dukecutter. But the one thing that you were is you came in there with a lot of heart and passion. And how are your experiences on the E-Feds with the rest of the boys?
Man, I'll start out by saying that one of the most fun things I've ever done on YouTube, period. I've been on YouTube for 15 plus years, but one of the most fun things I've ever done was being able to do some commentary for some matches in the E-Fed and just go all out. Like I had a blast doing that and cutting promos. The E-Fed actually really helped me a lot as far as promos were concerned, because when I was training, we spent a whole week on just promos, because a lot of the guys that I trained with had never done one. They hadn't ever looked at a camera and said, I'm going to come after that championship belt whether you like it or not, so you can take your Dukecutter and shove it up your ass. Like, nobody said that. They didn't know what they were doing. They were like, oh, yeah, my name is so-and-so, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to hurt you. And, like, there wasn't anything there. There was no substance. So when I was with the E-Fed, I practiced that a lot. And I got, I would always come to you and say, hey, what's the angle? What's the match? What we doing? And then I would, just kind of put something together. And I just got better and better at it. And I had more and more fun every single time. I actually still have a video on my phone where I don't remember what match it was. Gosh. I know it was a championship match that I did. And I was cutting a promo for it. I can't remember who I was going against, but my wife
had a microphone, and we had just been married. We'd been married for maybe 6 months, maybe less. And I gave
her a microphone. I said, "Hey, I want you to interview me on this promo. Like you be Mean Gene, who we met. He was amazing. God rest his soul. I was like, you be Mean Gene, and you interview me, and just ask me whatever you want, and just let me roll with it. Like we didn't script it or anything. I was just like, just ask me questions. Let's go." So I hit record, and she starts interviewing me, asking me these questions. And at the end of it, I said, I said something like, I can give a Dukecutter to whoever I want at any time, at any place. Doesn't matter when, doesn't matter where. I can Dukecutter anybody whenever I want, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then I looked over at her and I said, nobody's safe from the Dukecutter, not even you. And then I threw the microphone and I gave her a Dukecutter right there on the camera, and she sold that thing. She hit the floor, bam, she was out, and that was the end of the clip.
I remember that one. That was my favorite one too. I remember that one. Yeah.
It was great. Like I got up, I looked at her and I said, "Did you know how to sell that?" And she goes, "No." She's like, "I just fell. Like I just knew." And I was like, "Hey, that was pure gold." Like, so I saved it. I've still got it. I don't know where it is, but I watch it every now and then. Like I'll remind her, "Hey, man, when we first got married, this was us. Like I was knocking you out with a Dukecutter." We get a kick out of it. But man, I had so much fun, and that the Fed is just. I mean, you guys did an incredible job with it. I don't think that you ever got the credit. You or Matt, either one, got the credit y'all deserved with it. It was very well put together, and for those of us that actively participated, you always said that you're going to get whatever you put in. That's what you're going to get out. So when I was putting in the promos, putting in the work, watching every episode, every minute of it, I was getting so much out of it. I had an absolute blast. And, you know, it may not be for everybody, but it sure was for me. I loved every second of it.
Did you like the TTC wrestling aspect that we did, or did you like the FWE aspect?
What got me into it was the TTC aspect, just because that's what I was in. Like, that's what I knew. And I actually had created a couple of people on my 2K games, like Cop Hizzle, and I would just beat the crap out of him just for fun. And I got to thinking, man, it'd be kind of funny if, you know, I actually could make videos of people in the TTC fighting each other. But I was lazy and busy, so I never did it. But then, you know, I came across TTC Wrestling. I said, man, someone's actually doing that. Like, sign me up, dude. Let's go. And that was it. And I loved FWE too. There was so much creativity in there. I mean, and probably Leo said it perfectly. There was a lot of imagination and a lot of creativity. And the FWE brand had, I think, more imagination and more creativity than some of the mainstream actual wrestling companies out there. Now, I know that licensing issues, you can't use everything you used, but I mean, it was definitely there. There was a lot of talent involved, and I had a lot of fun, you know, being able to bring the Dukecutter with me and bring the same kind of personality that I had. I mean, it was a blast. I loved it.
A lot of people don't know the Dukebothers had Velvet Sky, the Beautiful People, as his valets. Now, you got to meet Velvet Sky in real life. So Bully Ray didn't kill you?
Well, it wasn't Velvet. It wasn't Velvet. It was Angelina Love that I met.
Oh, okay.
If I met Velvet, I probably would have to be helped off the floor. I mean, it would be bad. It was funny because I went to an event in, it was in Frisco, Texas. We went to, I'm trying to think of where this place was. It was kind of a newer venue that had a concert stage, and they decided, hey, let's go ahead and have a wrestling event out here. So Jerry called him up and said, hey, I'll bring my guys. Let's have a show. And they packed the place out. Fuego was there. Fuego did a backflip off the stage onto the ring, which was incredible. And that was something that, you know, you haven't seen that yet from him. But if AEW lets him, he's going to do some things that are going to make you go, whoa, this guy's crazy. And like doing a backflip off of the stage onto a canvas was pretty intense. And she had a match, Angelina Love did, against Taya Valkyrie, I believe. And it was one of the best
women's matches I've seen in a long time. Maybe the best one I've ever seen in person. And it was hot. It was like 90, 95 degrees. Good thing it was an outdoor venue. And I got in an elevator to go up to the second floor of this venue to go talk to Scott Steiner because, he's right there. Why not? So I get in the elevator to go up there and say hi to Scott Steiner. And she's in the elevator. And it was just me and her. And the door closes. And my 13-year-old heart would have stopped beating at that point. Like, that would have been it for me. Like, I've seen everything I need to see. I'm going to give up the ghost. I'm done. It didn't get any better than this. But luckily, I was in my 30s, and I was already married, so I held my composure. And I just looked over at her and said, hey, that was a great match. And she's like, thank you. I appreciate that. Would you like to take a picture? And I said, yeah, sure. So I took a picture, had her sign it. Still have it. But, I mean, she was cool. She was really awesome. And, she joined my entourage shortly after. I said, hey, I'm going to wrestle a little bit. Why don't you join me? And she's like, yeah, let me bring Velvet too. Why not? So I said, okay, I guess, two is better than one, so let's do it. And, I mean, they've been great. That was a great.
Now, some people haven't seen this current match because it's on the Facebook one, but I know the FWE WrestleMania will be on this channel coming up soon. And it's going to be a 2-night thing. You're going up against Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship. And I can tell you right now, it's a show stealer.
I believe it, man. Kenny Omega, I said earlier that there's always been that one guy that I've really followed. Like Hulk was the first one. He was obviously the longest tenured one. Sting, followed him for a long, long time, met him. He's a great dude. I mean, if you ever get a chance to just see Sting's story outside of the ring, it's unbelievable. And then Undertaker with his unbelievable streak. I mean, following him for all those years. I went to Undertaker's last WrestleMania in front of a live crowd in New Orleans, and that was, oh man, I'm so glad I can say that. That was one of the greatest just events of my lifetime when he killed John Cena. And now it's become Kenny Omega. He's kind of that guy now because I view him as possibly the best wrestler there is. I mean, he's technical, he's fast, he's charismatic, but he's also a punk. And he's also going up against one of the greatest, if not the greatest TTC wrestler of all time in the great Dukebothers, who knows a little bit about wrestling myself. And let me tell you right now, that Kenny Omega can bring anybody he wants if he wants to. If he wants to go out and bring out, I don't know, let's say a certain tag team who thinks they're a little bit, it doesn't stink. We'll put it that way. Let's say he brings them with him. Let's say he brings 2 or 3 other punks with him. Let's say he comes alone. It doesn't matter. I'll give a Dukecutter to any of them, but I'm going to give him 3 of them. And after the 3rd one's over with, I'm going to be holding the strap. And he's going home with his head between his legs. Because as great as Kenny Omega is, and he's great wrestler, great guy, I'm better. That's all there is to it. So watch WrestleMania. It's going to be good.
Now, some people, I know that we were affiliated with another group. I'm not going to really say their names on here. But what did you think of them personally? Like, I know that, Matt Ogden's giving me his opinion. Desert Eagle's giving me his opinion. Nick's giving me his opinion. But what is the Great Dukebothers' opinion?
My opinion is, I have also heard their opinions. Probably not to the extent that you have, but let's just say that my opinion mirrors theirs, especially Matt's. If I could put it on paper, I would just give Matt the pin. I mean, it's word for word is pretty much his exact opinion is what mine is too. I think he's pretty much got it right.
And by the way, Matt Ogden, if you're watching, you're the one that created the TTC wrestling. A lot of people think that I did it, but actually it was Ogden's idea. And it was a really good idea because a lot of the guys were involved. They were loving the commentary. I did my damn Stone Cold and told Nash I was going to whip his ass. This all that kind of thing. And we were talking about, I think it was Cock Pizzle, and I called him Cock Pizzle. And Yeah, it was actually a fun thing because I mean, I wish that we would have just stayed with that and not went in with those other guys. And but that's my opinion on that. Now, Dukebothers, you actually had a match on the FWE's show once with Hulk Hogan.
I did. Man, was that fun.
That was an instant classic. I mean, I didn't expect Hogan to Hulk up from a Dukecutter.
No, I didn't either. But, well, I say that's what he does, man. He always hulks up. You think you got him, and you don't. That's what I loved about Hogan as a kid. Like, he was my wrestling version of Popeye. You think he's out, and then next thing you know, he's pointing a finger at you, and you're screwed. And, going into that match, obviously Hogan, my favorite wrestler, when I went to that WrestleMania that I saw Undertaker at, I was dressed up like Hulk Hogan. Like, I had the handlebar mustache, I dyed it and everything. I had the red and yellow flowered thing around my neck. I had the sunglasses, the bandana, the shirts, the pants, the boots, everything. I went full out Hulk Hogan. Like, I'm a Hulkamaniac through and through. So cutting promos and getting in the ring with that dude, best experience ever. It was crazy. And he's a tough dude to keep down, but I mean, you can't beat me. That's all it is. He just couldn't beat me. As great as he is, he couldn't win the match. And that's okay. Can't beat him, join him. That's cool. I get it. Shout out to Hulkster though. That was a crazy match.
I know that you've been a wrestling fan, Duke. I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think there's competition right now between AEW or WWE, or do you think it's just more of like they're just starting out. WWE's been around for 40 plus years. Do you think this is really a competition thing now, or do you think it should be a competition when they start competing on the same night?
It wasn't a competition at first, and here's why. When I was really watching wrestling a couple of years ago, when I really started getting into it, like religiously, like every week, every minute of every week, I would watch Raw, I'd watch SmackDown, and I would watch Impact Wrestling, because Impact had all of the guys back then that you see on SmackDown and Raw now. I mean, they had AJ Styles, they had Samoa Joe, they had all of them. I mean, I couldn't even go down the list and start naming all of the guys that were in, Impact. They're in AEW, or they're in WWE now. There's so many. Yeah. So, I never considered that to be a competition, even though I could watch Impact and see Ric Flair and Sting and, Bully Ray and Aces of Eights. Like, oh man, dude, it was awesome back then. But even then, we all knew who the big dog was. Like, we all knew this was the warm-up show, and then WWE is going to come on, and that's going to be it. But AEW, when they started out, it was kind of the same thing, but they didn't have as many big names. But I think it's definitely a competition now. And here's why. And it's not good news. It's bad news. I'm sure you've heard already. Ring of Honor, man. Ring of Honor's done. So there are going to be a lot of names from Ring of Honor that are going to be seeking new employment. And whether it be signing WWE contracts, which I don't see how they could do that when WWE has already released guys like, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman. I mean, they've got rid of so many good wrestlers, some of which, Daniel Bryan just fought Kenny Omega a couple weeks ago in one of the best matches I've seen in years. I mean, he's over in AEW fighting Omega. I mean, there are so many great talents that are going to be looking for somewhere to go, and that's where the competition factor sets in. AEW's got big names. They've got the talent, they've got the fans, and they've got the product. They just need to get the ratings, and I think they're going to get it. WWE, meanwhile, it seems like you could watch a Monday Night Raw in June, and in September, you could turn Monday Night Raw on again without watching it since the first one, and it would be the exact same show. Like, there's no difference. It's the same thing. It's Roman Reigns fighting Brock Lesnar. Same thing, blah, blah, blah. That's all they do. AEW is not doing that. So, yeah, it's a competition right now, and it's if nothing else, as a wrestling fan, it's a lot of fun to watch. And it's going to be fun to watch for a while. If WWE wants to stick around at the magnitude that they're at, they got to get serious. And they got to get serious pretty quick. I think AEW is kind of forcing their hand. So for us as the viewers, that's, it's time to get your popcorn ready.
Do you think wrestling will get back to the way it was during the Attitude Era, or do you think we're just in a different era on its own and we're just kind of more of like in the social media era?
We were at that era, and I'll be honest too, like, one of the reasons why I'm glad that my Facebook got hacked is because I had to unfollow every wrestling page I was a fan of on Facebook. And wrestling's a lot more fun when you don't know what the outcomes are, or if you don't know who's going to show up at WrestleMania or who's going to show up at the Royal Rumble. But I think we're past that now. Like, WWE is going to remain as close to kid-friendly as they can because they're on Fox. So as far as Attitude Era for them goes, probably not going to happen. As long as they get these big contracts from these big networks, they're going to stick around, and they're going to have their Fruity Pebbles, Booty-O's thing going on. But the other companies that don't have the major contracts that are on, TNT and some of these other networks, they can go Attitude Era if they want. Is it going to be as good of a product as what WWE had back then with guys like The Rock and Austin? Probably not. But if you want gritty, if you want attitude, that's probably the way to go. I mean, so yeah, I think we're moving forward. I think we're transitioning. And two, I think that these companies have kind of caught on to the fact that the fans are starting to realize what's happening, and they're posting it on social media before it does. The reason I say that, just as an example, I was on Facebook for the Royal Rumble. I want to say it was the first women's Royal Rumble. I forget what year that was. It was pretty recent, though, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And I was watching the Royal Rumble, and I was in one of these Facebook groups in the chat, and they kept saying that Gail Kim's going to be there. Gail Kim is going to be at this Royal Rumble. And I'm like, no, she's not. And they said, no, she is. We know. Like, it's been leaked. We know. We've seen it. We've seen the card. It's all been leaked. We know what's going to happen. She's going to be there. So get ready. Now, if I was watching that and I knew that she was going to be there and then her music goes off, oh, well, there it goes. It happened. I'm not excited. If I didn't know that and her music went off, I would have went nuts. But I didn't do that because I knew that she wasn't going to be there. And I kept fighting with these people. Why? Why do you say she's there? It's been leaked. It's been leaked. I said, really? Well, let me tell you something. I'm sitting in the middle of Ardmore, Oklahoma, right now, in the middle of nowhere, and Gail Kim is sitting right next to me. She's not going to be there. Like, here, do you want to talk to her? Here she is. She's not there. She's literally right here next to me. And it was at that point that I realized these people on the internet, they don't always know what they're talking about. So I think we've moved past it now a little bit. I think we're in a much better era. And when the other one that I remember too is when Edge came back at the Rumble, I had no clue. Nobody did. My buddy that's a wrestling fan that's on all those pages still, he didn't know. And he knows everything before it happens. So, yeah, I think we've moved past it.
Now, two more wrestling questions before I get into the good, some real fire, put Duke in the fire pit here. I know that you're a big Hogan fan like I was, but the whole allegations that happened to Hogan and stuff like that, do you think fans are being fair to him, or do you think or in today's world, do you think they're just being a little too social justice, so to speak?
Well, I see both arguments. I mean, I see the fairness. I mean, the proof is there. I mean, it's not something you can just walk away from. But, another way that I like to think of it is if you're going to cast the first stone, then you better not have any sins on yourself either. And there are a lot of other instances of other talents, individuals that have done things equal to or worse what Hogan has done, whose names are very much still on the record. and were never erased. So, yeah, I do think you could say he was treated unfairly. But the premise as to why, maybe it's because of how popular he is, or what he did for the sport. I don't know. Maybe it's because of the stories. People get the clicks and the views. I don't know why they did it, but if you're gonna jump at Hogan for what he did, there are a lot of other avenues you could explore to really get on some people. So yeah, I guess I would lean more towards the social justice side of that.
You now with Hogan, do you like the red and yellow Hogan, or are you more the Hollywood Hogan?
when Hollywood Hogan happened, I hated it. Like, I was marking out. I hated it so much. And you were supposed to hate it. I mean, that was the whole point. I was supposed to hate Hollywood. So in its time, I was very much red and yellow Hogan, and I probably still am, to be honest, because that's my roots. But as I've gotten older and looked back on Hollywood, he was awesome. I mean, he would walk out and play guitar on a championship belt. Hogan was a guitar player before he was a wrestler. A lot of people don't know that. So that was, what he was doing. And when he had that match with The Rock at WrestleMania, that was one of the coolest moments of my wrestling fanhood when it happened. So I love Hollywood Hogan now, but overall, yeah, I'd lean more towards red and yellow still.
Now, being a big Sting fan, do you like his run in WWE, or do you think they underutilize him?
They underutilize the crap out of him. You let somebody who has just destroyed WCW, just a great wrestler. He is the icon. He's one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time. You let him go into WrestleMania to lose to Triple H, who has really nothing to gain from winning the match. And that didn't make any sense to me at all. I really thought Sting should have won that match. I don't know what they were doing with him, but I would have loved to see what they were going to do with him before the injuries, because that's what ended his run, was just a couple of unfortunate injuries there. And I don't know if they were building something with him or not. I didn't get to have that discussion with him, but if that was it, that was pretty disappointing on WWE's part. Now, he's with AEW now. He's taking hits over there. I was shocked to see some of the bumps he took at AEW, and he's going kind of sidearm, but he's still there, and he's fun to watch. But his time in WWE was a little bit underwhelming. There were some great moments though, like the statue. I mean, there were some awesome moments, but yeah, he was definitely underused, I think.
Well, is it when you met Sting? What did he say about WWE?
We didn't talk about it very much. I didn't have a chance to have a lengthy conversation with him. So what I did mention to him was more about his personal life, about the man behind the paint, and because that's what I really love about Sting more than anything. And
yeah,
that those are the kinds of conversations that we had. And he's just humble. I mean, I know he's not angry about it. I know he's not upset, thinking, man, I wish they would have done this. I wish they would have done that. He doesn't dwell on those things. He doesn't think about it. He loved the time that he was able to be there, and just to be able to step in the ring. I mean, that meant a lot to him.
Now, what are some things that people may not know about Dukebothers? Like, what is some of your pet peeves and in life? Like, what's some of the things that really piss you off?
Ooh. See, like, I have tons of them. A lot of them involve people that because I have a pretty extensive retail background. I'm not in it anymore, but people don't understand what our frontline service workers, retail, fast food industry, they don't understand the pressure they put on some of these people. So when you conduct yourself like a 6-year-old at a place of business, that irks me quite a bit. Now, if you're going to have fun, but man, if you're going to, scream at people, throw fits, I mean, do it at home. Don't do it at Walmart or, McDonald's. I saw a lady today, I read a story where she sued Kellogg's because her Pop-Tart didn't have enough strawberry frosting. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I think she's going to win.
My wife told me about that story, yeah.
Like, why? I don't get it. I don't understand why people do things like that. But that's just me. I don't know.
What is your favorite? What is some of your favorite holidays? Like, what's your favorite holiday?
Oh man, my favorite holiday. That's easy. The greatest holiday of all is Dukebothers Day, which is every day. Took place at Rusev Day. It's Dukebothers Day now. Happy Dukebothers Day, everybody. Second place, Thanksgiving. Love me some Thanksgiving because I get to. Here's my Thanksgiving routine. Okay, I'll wake up whenever I feel like it, and maybe I'll catch a parade. Parades are fun. I like the Thanksgiving Day parade still. Um, then I'll go in and eat as much food as I can possibly eat, and my family can cook. Like my grandma, she raised all of her food out of the garden, and we handpicked it, and then we ate it, and it was delicious. My mom learned how to cook from my grandma, and I learned how to cook from my mom and my dad. So we all are just phenomenal cooks. And when we cook on Thanksgiving, we don't play around. We'll have 10 people, we'll cook for 20, and we'll just eat till we can't eat no more. And then some of us will take naps. Some of us will wait until about 3 o'clock and watch the greatest team in all of sports, Dallas Cowboys, play football, which we do every Thanksgiving, which is amazing. Then after the Cowboys win, we will go back to eating again and maybe watch some more football, who knows, and then we'll eat some more and go to bed. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And something else that people may not know about me, which you asked earlier, one of the exotic animal theme parks my family owned, we bought from Pat Jones, who is the father of Jerry Jones, who is the owner of the Cowboys. We have personal ties with the Jones family. We know each other very well. And my tradition growing up was that we would go from Missouri to Dallas, and every year we would go to a Thanksgiving Day game in Dallas. We'd watch the Thanksgiving game. And I've got sideline passes from Thanksgiving games that I've been to that he gave me. I've got plenty of tickets. We would always sit front row on the 50 on the second deck. Beautiful seats that Jerry would give us. We didn't pay for them. He gave them to us. And in 1998, I went to a Thanksgiving game, and I won't even tell you what happened. For you and the viewers, just go and look up what happened in 1998 on Thanksgiving Day. Look at what happened to the Cowboys. I sat in the owner's box next to Jerry during that game, and it was the greatest experience ever as a football fan to sit next to the owner of your team eating Chex Mix with the Prince of Saudi Arabia, and I met Randy Travis. It was crazy. But Thanksgiving has always been my favorite holiday. Least favorite, I hate Valentine's Day. Hate it. Hate everything about it. It is so. I hate when people commercialize holidays. Like I hate that. And that's what has happened with America. We commercialize Easter, we commercialize Christmas, we commercialize Valentine's Day to no end. It's crazy. But I still love Christmas, love Thanksgiving. I hate Valentine's Day. Can't stand it.
What's your favorite? What's some of your favorite Thanksgiving dishes?
Ooh. We was kind of veered away from the turkey a little bit. Like we still eat turkey, but we eat the pineapple honey ham, which is really good. But if you have never had like a southern casserole, and the reason why I don't specify what kind of casserole it is because if you just go to the South and say, give me casserole, and the cook is good, it doesn't matter what kind of casserole it is. It's going to be amazing. And we have like the potato casserole with like the scallops, the squash casserole. Man, that's so good. The okra casserole. Oh, man. I mean, there's so many good casseroles. You can't pick one. So I would go with just but the other one I'll go with, and kind of a cop-out answer, but man, those pies, dude. Those pies are the devil's juice, man. Like those pecan pies, I could eat my lifetime in pecan pies on Thanksgiving Day. Whew, they're so good.
Who in football, like which player, past and present, that you cannot stand?
Ooh, football player. Oh, there's gonna be a couple of nominees. I'm gonna think of which one I hate the most. Man, there's some that I just absolutely cannot stand. Um, my answer used to be, it's not anymore, but it used to be Tom Brady. I used to just despise Tom Brady, but I don't anymore because, man, even though there were years where I thought, hey, this guy's a cheater, he's stuck up, he's arrogant. He's not. I've learned over the years he's not. He's actually a pretty cool dude. Um, he's won 6 rings. I mean, and whether you cheat or not, 6 Super Bowls, that's a lot. That's more than the Cowboys have won. I mean, that's a lot for one person to have that many rings. Like, that's stupid. So it's not him. It's not him. Um, most people will hate me for this, and this guy is a he's a fantastic individual off the field. Like, he's a remarkable person, excellent character. But as a football player specifically, Tony Gonzalez, I hated that man. I absolutely hated him. I mean, the guy was big. He's like Kelsey. I hate Kelsey right now. I mean, he's big and he can catch. That's about it. People want to say, "Oh, he's the greatest tight end." Yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's the greatest tight end of all time. I'm a Cowboys fan. I love Jason Witten. I think Jason Witten was better, but that's just me. Tony Gonzalez, man, it wasn't just about him, but it was about living in Missouri while he played. Like, yeah. Tony Gonzalez was the LeBron James of football back then. Everybody just loved him. Like, he was the second coming, and he was going to win so many Super Bowls with them, and they all just thought he was amazing. And I never understood that. I'm like, man, if I went down the list of Cowboys greats, and I could probably name 15 or 20 Cowboys players that were better than him. Like slow down. He's not that good, but they loved him. So I hated him. And I hated Dante Hall. I hated Priest Holmes. I mean, all of the ones that I hate are going to be Chiefs because I hated all of them. And the other one, the only non-Chief I can think of that I really could not stand was Donovan McNabb. I could not stand him at all. The Chunky Soup commercials, I hated him. And I hated T.O. till he came to Dallas. Now I love him.
What are some of your hidden talents that people may not know about you?
Man, I don't like to keep my talents hidden. I'm a very talented individual. What do I do exceptionally well that no one knows about? I'm a very good fisherman. Very good fisherman. We have 2 freezers full of fish because we just go out and we'll catch 15 to 20 fish a day if we want to. We know the spots. We know where the fish are. We can do that. I'm a great public speaker. I did radio. I'm sure you probably can gather that I did radio in my past. So I love editing. I love broadcasting. And I love producing. I mean, that's what I've always really been passionate about. Even before my YouTube years, I was producing radio bits and doing interviews, things like that. But aside from that, man, I would say my biggest talent is being able to fish. I'm such a good fisherman. It's crazy.
Now, who is someone that your wife likes in celebrity world that you can't stand?
She's not really that much into like movies, TV as much as I am. One thing I love about her is she kind of stays away from the celebrity thing, but the one thing that she does that there's kind of a backstory to this because I do like this guy if I have to admit it, but she loves like remodeling, like home remodeling. She wants to be a house flipper, and so she'll watch that show that's got Vanilla Ice on there. And she's a big fan of Vanilla Ice. And I used to love Vanilla Ice because Vanilla Ice did the ninja rap. You know what I mean? He was on stage with the Turtles, and I was there with the Turtles the very next time they ever went on stage with Vanilla Ice. That was many years later. But I was at a party where he went on stage with the Turtles again and did the ninja rap, and it was great. But before that party, he did a sound check, and while he was doing his sound check, you could not get in. He wouldn't let them open the doors to get into the party. So here we are, 100 degrees, we're standing in this little alley that's probably 5 foot wide at the most, and there's 100 people standing in it, shoulder to shoulder, screaming, "We hate Vanilla Ice," because he won't let us in because he's a jerk. And yeah, we just sat out there and almost died. It was all his fault. So if I had to pick one person, yeah, Vanilla Ice, this is on you, man. And I'm glad that you did the song dance. That was great. But man, like, do your sound checks before the crowd shows up. Just a word of advice for you, rookie.
Now, who this one's gonna be a fun one. If there's, I'm not. You can pick somebody in the sports world if you want to, or you can pick someone in just entertainment world if you want to. Who is one person you wish you can get away with punching in the face?
Oh man. Oh, I've got such a good answer for that. Oh, but man, do I want? It's an easy answer. I don't want to go easy. I want to like pick somebody that I just really want to. Okay, yeah, I'll pick one. I'll pick one that I really want to smack. My original answer was going to be Joe Biden, but who doesn't want to punch him in the face, right? So we'll skip that. Cody Rhodes. I want to punch Cody Rhodes square in the freaking mouth. I really do. I don't know what it is about him. I just want to just beat the ever-loving crap out of him. I think it's because I'm sure he's a great dude. I've watched the show a little bit, but he just comes across as being so smug and so like self-centered, you know, like I understand he's built the company. I mean, he's done so much. He puts so much work into what he does. I respect what he's done. I respect, you know, all of what he's done in the pro wrestling industry, period. But just as a person, I just want to just punch him square in the nose until it's broken in half. Just to see if he smiles. You know, just to see if he gets up with that stupid grin. Hey, guys, I'm still Cody Rhodes. I'm fine. You know, let me go kiss my hot wife and walk out and let 1,000 fans scream my name because I'm awesome, you know. I just want to punch him, dude. I kind of want to kick him in the groin, too, like Nakamura. I kind of want to do that, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there. I think I would agree with you. Joe Biden would be one guy I would like to punch, but or just kick him in the groin. But now, what's some of your favorite music? Like, what kind of music you listen to usually on a daily basis?
My favorite band that I could never, if I only could listen to one band for the rest of my life, I'd listen to a band called Demon Hunter. Now, if you don't know who Demon Hunter is, they're a metal band. They're like a melodic metal band, and they are brilliant. Like musically, they have so many different instruments that they play. They have like 3 drum sets that they can do in one set, and they're talented. The vocals are great, and the music's just good. Like they have songs that will get you in your feelings. You know, they have songs that'll make you think. They have very deep meanings to a lot of their lyrics. And then they have songs that you can just crank up at the gym while you're clanging and banging, and they will just, like, the testosterone will just build so much that you could lift the whole freaking gym. Like, they'll pump you up. You will experience every human emotion possible while listening to them. But at the end of the day, you'll be glad you did. Like, hard rock, like especially late 90s, early 2000s. You know, being that I was in radio, I used to attend a lot of concerts back in the day. I've seen Ted Nugent, I've seen Disturbed, I've seen Creed, I've seen Alice in Chains and Three Doors Down. They're the last 2 concerts I've been to. I've seen Skillet 3 times. I love rock mostly. I hate country music, especially new country music. Can't stand it. Don't like rap that much. There are some pretty good rap songs. Mostly, I don't. You can't just put the word "little" in front of your name and be a rapper. It doesn't work like that. But that's what they're all doing now. Like, I guess if I want to become a rapper and be Little Duke, I could pull up an album right now. But the difference in today's music and what I listen to is if you have genuine musical talent, like if you can play a guitar, a keyboard, drum sets, and a tuba, I'll respect that. I'll probably listen to it. But if you're getting on a computer synthesizing and doing, you know, voice changers and auto-tune, there's nothing to that. I don't get that. So I'm not really into the new age music as far as that goes. But man, Santana, somebody that can just play like a guitar and make the guitar sing. That's somebody I want to listen to. So that's kind of music I like.
What kind of movies do you usually watch?
I like to laugh. I like to laugh. I'm a comedian at heart, man. Some of the actors. First of all, the actor that I respect the most, that's probably my favorite actor, is Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks and his ability to play. He's so adaptable to so many roles. Like the same guy that was in, the same guy that was Forrest Gump was also Woody from Toy Story. Like the same guy that was in Green Mile. Tom Hanks is just such a phenomenal actor. It's crazy. So anything Tom Hanks is in, I'm going to watch. But as far as comedies go, one thing that has always been it's really intrigued me, and who am I going to use as an example? Now, Will Ferrell. I'll use Will Ferrell as an example. Will Ferrell could be Anchorman and deliver some of the greatest lines that would make me die. Like, if I tried to deliver that scene and deliver those lines, I could try it 50 times. I would have to do 51 takes because I would die every single time I said it, like just laughing as hard as I could. He strikes me as one of those guys that can deliver a line and just live it and not, break character. He never breaks character, and that's crazy to me. Like, or yeah, or like being on set with Chris Farley on Saturday Night Live, and Adam Sandler and those guys, and David Spade and Rob Schneider, and being live and doing that. Could you imagine, like, being on stage live with Chris Farley when he's jumping through a table? Like, I would be dying. Like, you would have to carry me out of there. Oh my gosh, dude, I couldn't do it. So as far as movies go, comedies, man, and like old school SNL. I cry. I still watch some of those. There was one I was watching the other day. The guy that played Batman, what was his name? Gosh, not Affleck. Keaton, Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton did a sketch on Saturday Night Live, and it was I think it was an Easter sketch, and that was one of the funniest things I've seen in years. Like, I was dying, and Michael Keaton just delivered it brilliantly live. Everything about it was perfect. If you haven't seen it, go watch it later. It's, oh my gosh, unbelievable. The
one scene from Saturday Night Live that I still crack up with is when The Rock was hosting, and him and Chris Kattan were playing like these little monkey ape human guys, and they were humping people. And that was, that was just great for me. But I was more of an Adam Sandler guy.
I saw one where The Rock, it may have been the same show, different sketch, but The Rock was, I don't remember, there was a couple of guys on a couch, and The Rock was the president, and he ended up hulking up, so to speak. I don't think he was The Rock to begin with. I think somebody else was playing the president, Barack Obama at the time. And then he gets angry, and then he turns into The Rock, and then he grabs a guy and just like chucks him out of the window of the White House. Yeah. And the guy that he threw did a shoot interview a few weeks later, and he's like, "Man, when we filmed it, like when we practiced it, he was just kind of supposed to, toss me, like just, and I was gonna sell it and jump through the window, like he threw me as hard as he could, but he was like, no." When we shot that thing live, he literally picked me up and threw me as hard as he could, and I barely landed on the mattress on the other side. He's like, I just about died that day. That was crazy.
Now, this is going to be we just got to hope that Duke's wife doesn't listen to this one. This is where the hot seat comes in. If you had a choice between any women and any women, marry, fuck, or kill.
Who do I get one for all three?
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, we'll do this. Marry. Ooh. Should I go that route? Ooh. Jennifer Aniston. Jennifer Aniston, because she never ages. She's gorgeous. She's funny. And there are several that I thought of for this because of their personalities, but Jennifer Aniston, because man, what's not to love about her? She's incredible. She never ages, and I was one of those guys that only watched Friends because she was on it, and most of the time I watched it muted because I didn't care what they had to say. I just wanted to see her. Velvet Sky, gotta go Velvet Sky. I mean, no question about it. I mean, there are a couple of other ones again too, but man, something about Velvet, dude. I can't say no to that. Kill. She's probably going to end up doing it herself. But Hillary Clinton, dude. Hillary Clinton. There used to be a game back in the old internet, like back in the old World Wide Web. There used to be a website called slugfest.com. And there were celebrities. And you had to have a boxing match against these celebrities. And the main one was Mike Tyson. He was unbeatable. But you could choose what celebrity you wanted to beat the hell out of, and I would go on there almost on a daily basis and beat the piss out of Hillary Clinton. Couldn't freaking stand her, and I still can't. And if I ever saw her, I'd probably put the gloves on. No, I'd take the gloves off, and then I'd do the same thing I did to her in Slugfest. It would not be pretty. Hillary Clinton.
I wish she'd get a Dukecutter.
Oh, yeah, she wouldn't survive half of a Dukecutter. She'd be in midair and she'd croak before she'd hit the ground.
Oh, I figured you would put Pelosi in that position too.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Can we do a tag team?
Yeah.
Well, let's do a tag team match. Yeah, me and Prodigal Heel. We'll go against those two. That sounds like fun.
Two Cowboys fans versus isn't Pelosi? Isn't she from San Francisco?
Probably. I don't know. I've never really looked into her as a person. I try to avoid that as much as possible.
Oh boy, what is some of your? I know you did like comics, but what's your favorite superhero or superheroes?
I'm assuming that you don't characterize the Turtles as superheroes. That would be a pretty cop-out answer because I am obsessed with the Turtles. Superhero. I'm going to have to go with Batman, even though he's not a superhero. He doesn't have any superpowers, but he's freaking Batman, dude. Like, he doesn't need powers. He's got all the money in the world. He's got the Batmobile, and the Batmobile is sick. And he's got Alfred, and Alfred is my man. I love me some Alfred. And he did several comic and movie appearances with the Turtles, and he was one of the only person from the superhero universe that has ever sat down with Michelangelo and had a pizza. So just by default, it's got to be Batman. And there's not just one Batman. There are several Batmen. You know, there's Dark Knight. There's Adam West. You know, I mean, there's so many great Batmans of the day. I've got to go Batman.
Who is okay? And I seen that Batman versus Turtles movie, and I loved the fight between Shredder and Batman. I thought that was a really cool concept, and that was cool to see them eating pizza. But who is your favorite Batman? Like, if you look at a guy and you go, "That's definitely Batman in my eyes."
And my favorite Batman has always been Adam West. Because that was my first Batman. That's the one that I really watched when I was a kid and learned who Batman was. Like, I get it. It's corny. It's cheesy. It's comical. But, dude, Adam West is Batman. I don't know what it is about it. That's, to me, when I see Batman or when I think of Batman, I think of Adam West. I do. It's just, I love the fight scenes and the pow and the bang. You know, it's just, there's something about that Batman that really caught me. So I'd have to go with Adam West.
You diabolical fiend. Now, now I don't know about you on the show, but my favorite part was the Batman TV show movie when Batman's having to fight the shark. and then he wants Robin to give him the shark repellent bat spray. That one cracks me up all the time.
Classic.
Now, if you was to if you was to change one thing in this world, like if you can do one rule and you can get away with it, what would you get away with?
If I could change one thing, there are a lot of things I would change. If I had to change one thing, it would be greed. I would change greed. I would remove greed from humanity because greed has caused so much more harm to the men of society than it has good to the men as individuals. Greed is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, corruption that our world has and has had for centuries and continues to be so. And in America today, especially, you don't have to go 5 miles away from your house, wherever you live. You'll see greed. It's everywhere. I feel like humanity spends more of its time trying to build its status individually, trying to build the name, trying to build the power. It spends more time doing that than helping itself and helping its fellow man. There's a speech, maybe my greatest or my favorite speech that I ever heard, and it was by Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin had a tremendous speech, and the movie is called The Dictator. That speech will tell you a little bit about greed and why it's, and that's an old speech, obviously. It was in black and white. It was Charlie Chaplin. It was a long time ago, but it speaks of greed and how men have fallen because of it. And if you get a chance to listen to that speech, it is absolutely incredible. So yeah, greed is the answer, but Charlie Chaplin's speech in The Dictator, unbelievable, change your life.
We're about to wrap it up here soon, Duke, but I appreciate you coming in and coming inside the squared circle. I didn't get the Dukecutter, so I'm happy about that.
You're still not safe. I got your IP address, so you're not safe.
That's all right. I'm telling you, I'm telling you, Mel. I'm telling you, my wife is waiting until we get to the beach, and we're supposed to do that next year. She's gonna wait, and she's gonna give me the RKO. I know it's coming.
Nice. I hope you've got somebody waiting just to film it. I've got to see it. I've got to see what kind of thud you're gonna make when you hit the ground, and then I want to see if she does that thing where she punches the ground with her fists.
Now, before we go, can you explain to everybody why you don't like John Cena?
Yes, I can. I actually loved John Cena for a long time, not as a 12-year-old going, "Hey, look, it's John Cena. House of Loyalty, respect," but because I understood how much work and effort he put into what he does, how much he really is genuine about how he loves what he does. But the guy, really, what happened with John Cena was, in scientific terms, his testicles were sucked back up into his abdomen, and they are now nowhere to be found. He makes an apology video to China about apologizing for acknowledging Taiwan as a nation. Like, he decides to apologize to the Chinese people because the Chinese people were offended. So in doing so, any balls that he had are no longer in existence. They are now gone. He has now become a transvestite, and he is still being applauded in wrestling venues all over the nation, which makes no sense to me. He is anti-American, as Hulk Hogan is the real American. So in the debate of Hogan versus Cena, Hogan wins every time, and Cena's a sellout, and he's a punk. So yeah, that's why I can't stand him. And if I were to see him, he would be on that list of people I would like to punch in the face.
Now,
yes, they are.
I'm just if Shit. Now I'm just trying to think about seeing you punch Cena in the face. I was just thinking that for a second. I just lost my train of thought.
Well, as long as he doesn't start with his, 5 moves of doom, I'll be fine. I'm pretty sure I know how to dodge a 5-knuckle shuffle, so we'll be okay.
If you could book, and this is before we go, if you can book a dream match, if you can book 2 dream matches in wrestling, what would you book?
I'm so glad you said 2, because the first one's obvious. The first one, every wrestling fan will mention this match. Everyone will. Even just the casual wrestling fans will mention this match. Sting versus Undertaker in their prime. I mean, how could you not? How did that never happen? Like, we go back to the Sting question. Why did they not bring him in and say, here, you're fighting Undertaker WrestleMania, period. Forget Triple H, forget his ego. You and Undertaker WrestleMania, let's do it. Bam. Then we get to watch it. It never happened. Sting versus Undertaker, easily number 1 on that list. Second, I got to think for a minute. See, Lashley, that might happen, though. So I'm going to wait on. I'm trying to think of one that has never happened, never will. I'm going to go with Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Hogan. They wouldn't work with each other. They have interviews. If you go listen to Austin's podcast, he has an interview on why they'd ever worked with each other. But just watching like the torch being passed down between 2 eras, watching the collision, the clash of styles between Stone Cold Steve Austin, who is, Austin 316, I'll just whip your ass, and he's, the attitude. You're perfect. He's chugging beers. He's flipping people off. He doesn't care. And then you've got Hulk Hogan, who's telling the kids to take their vitamins, say their prayers, ripping his shirt off, hulking up. Watching those 2 guys, those 2 personalities, like we know Hogan's the face, Austin's the heel. They go at each other at WrestleMania. They would have put on one of the greatest shows. Maybe not technically, but just overall as a wrestling fan, one of the greatest shows you would have ever seen. I would have loved those 2 going out. Like Hogan versus The Rock, to me, was an absolute spectacle. So him versus Austin, man, that'd be crazy.
Well, here's something for everybody. I don't know if you've seen this match, Duke. You probably have. It's on YouTube. It's got the NWO and a handicap match on Raw versus The Rock and Austin. There is a point in there where Hogan gets tagged and actually fights Austin for about a few seconds, punches him and slams him. But when he gets tagged in, you should hear the crowd when Hogan gets tagged in with Austin.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
It was death-defying. And I watched one of those Undertaker interviews. He was all for facing Sting. He said that he doesn't know why they didn't do it.
Yeah, nobody. I don't think Sting knows either.
And that was Taker saying, hey, I don't know why it never happened.
Yeah, that's crazy. And my favorite match of all time was Omega versus Okada, the second one. The second time they fought was the most incredible, death-defying, like gut-spilling. To do something like that is almost inhuman. What those 2 did in that match. The second time Okada and Omega faced each other in Japan. Oh my gosh, dude! When I watched that match, I try to put myself in one of their shoes and say, how on God's earth did they do that? It's just unreal.
So, Mr. Dukebothers, I'm glad you brought out your time. I'm sure hope I didn't interrupt your baked potato dinner.
It just came out of the oven.
There you go. Now, before we go, I just want to thank Duke for coming in for this interview series. I'm going to start doing a little bit more of these. And you can go check him out on his YouTube channel. He's also got a Facebook fan page. What other social media outlets can they find the great Dukebothers at?
The only other one I'm on is Instagram at Dukebothers2 with the number 2 behind it. But YouTube, obviously, Dukebothers, and Facebook, also Dukebothers, and Instagram, Dukebothers2.
And every Monday night, you can check out his show, Monday Night Mayhem.
That's going to be at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time every Monday night. And Sunday night, we have the Dallas Cowboys versus the Minnesota Vikings. So we're going to be live streaming that from the Sky Tower at Choctaw Casino Resorts. They are kind enough to have us come out there to film a live stream for that game. So we'll be out there on Sunday night. And then, yeah, Mayhem's every Monday.
Well, Duke, I would love to see your wife get her payback and actually do the Dukecutter to you. That would be epic if that happens.
It would be. I got to watch my back because every now and then she's got that look about her. And I know what that means.
Oh, I know what that means too. When Mel gives me that look, I'm like, yeah, I'm in Fuckville now.
That's it. And I might as well just go down for the count.
Now, before I go, I wanted to bring this up to you. There was a Titan fan that I follow on Facebook and YouTube. He's predicting that the Super Bowl is going to be the Titans and the Cowboys.
I like the prediction. I do. I'm going to get killed for this, but I like the Titans side more. And here's why. The AFC is not competitive this year. I mean, there's just not any. There are at least 5 teams, maybe 6 in the NFC that are better than the entire AFC. So with the Titans, your division, you're going to win your division, and you're going to win it by a lot. I mean, you're like us. You're easily the best team in your division. The Bills have shown to me that they're not who everyone thinks they are, even though I love the Bills. You got the AFC North, and the Bengals, they're the Bengals. You know what I mean? Like, I can't trust them. And then the West, the Chiefs are trash. We all know that. The Chargers, Raiders. I guess the Chargers are going to win it. But when I look at the AFC right now today, I would say if I had to pick a team to win the conference, I'd pick the Titans. They've shown me that they're the best. And the NFC, you're going to have the Cardinals and the Cowboys and the Rams, and the Packers. They're going to be going at each other's throats during the playoffs. So who knows who's going to win that conference. But, yeah, I would definitely say Titans. And I'd love to say Cowboys, Titans. But, man, NFC playoffs are going to be incredible this year.
No doubt about it. And who you got in the World Series? You got the Astros or the Braves?
I am with 99% of the country in cheering for the Braves. But I think the Astros are going to win it. I really do. I just think they're too talented. But, man, I hate them. I'm actually playing MLB The Show, and I'm in franchise mode, and I'm playing a series against the Astros, and I intentionally hit Jose Altuve every time he takes the plate. Can't stand him. They eject Nolan Ryan. Oh, well, I got Dane Dunning. I'll hit him with him. Who cares?
Oh, here's a little last question for you. If you could visit anywhere, where would you go?
If I could visit anywhere at all, I've been thinking a lot about this because normally I would have said Rome. I've always wanted to go to Rome, but lately it's London. I want to go to England, man. Like, I went to Cancun several years back, and I got to hang out with people from all over the world, and people from England were the coolest people out of the Canadians, the people from America, the people from Mexico, the people from France, Europe. People from England were hilarious. They knew how to party, and they never let you go alone. Like, it was always a group. You always had 3 or 4 blokes that would go to a bar, get drunk, and have a great time. And the women were gorgeous. Oh my gosh, dude! The women from England that I met were unbelievable. I want to go to London. I want to go to a pub. That's where my ancestors are from, and I want to visit that place. There's so much history there and so much to do. Yeah, it's cold. It rains a lot, but I got an umbrella. That's where I'd go, is England. And maybe catch a football game, too, while I'm at it. Who knows?
Well, I'm Big Kev from Big Kev's World. This is the great Dukebothers. We were inside the square circle. Duke, thanks for taking your time out to actually do this interview with me.
Yo, Kev, thank you for having me, man. I had an absolute blast. Thank you for all that you do. Big Kev, man, this guy puts a lot of work into it. I really appreciate him. Have for a long time, really good friend of mine. Look forward to doing more work with you in the future, man. This has been the Great Dukebothers. I'll give my sign off and give it back to you. Dukebothers on YouTube, Dukebothers on Facebook, Dukebothers 2 on Instagram. How about them Cowboys? This is the great Dukebothers, and I'm out.
That's Dukebothers. This is Big Kev. This is my world. You guys are all just living in it. Thank you. Like, share, and sub.